Guys, I am so excited to begin a brand new season of the Calling and the Climb podcast. During the first season, over the past 33 episodes, I have told my story of how I started with absolutely nothing except just a faint recognition of a call that God had on my life to do something in business. And so I have recounted my experiences in gradually recognizing and accepting that call and then beginning the process of building and scaling a business. A journey that took me over 26 years, successfully culminating in the sale of my company a few years ago. So needless to say, along the way, I've had many interesting experiences, and I've also met many interesting people. So what I would like to do on this next season of the podcast is to bring on some of those entrepreneurs and leaders that I've met along the way and have them share with us their stories of faith, conquest, setbacks, challenges, victories, and ultimately lessons learned along the way. So we begin today, and my very first guest on the Calling and the Climb podcast is John Darby. John is the CEO and founder of Mercy House, a boutique assisted living company in Central Texas. Now, John's journey is a little bit different from mine in that he started his leadership quest very early as a young man as an elected official in public service. And he has also served in the nonprofit space for many years. And so John has some really interesting insights to share with us today. So I hope you enjoy my conversation with John Darby. Hello, today I am joined by a very special guest, John Darby. Now, John has a over 2-decade career spanning a lot of different things that he's done in his career, from public service to the nonprofit space to healthcare entrepreneurship. And so I am really excited to hear what John is going to share with us today from his experience.
Thank you, Philip. I'm excited to be here. I'm often called special, but usually they mean something different than the connotation you're using.
Well, you are a very special guest. I've been looking forward to talking with you, and we've had some past associations. But anyway, I'm interested to know about your experience in throughout your career, and I know, when I said in the intro, you've done a lot of different things. So I'm just curious to when did you first realize that you, John Darby, were wired for entrepreneurship?
Well, so I've always been kind of an entrepreneur. My very first job, I was made a salary of $800 a month as a newly married man,
Oh,
fresh out of college. Came home and told my wife I just accepted a job that if nothing went right, we'd be able to pay the rent.
there you go.
Wouldn't be able to eat, but nobody would be kicking us out of our house.
Baby steps.
Yeah, and so I started out as a sales position. Ended up doing very well in the position and doing well through that. But in order to be in sales, you have to be somewhat entrepreneurial. And I was working for an organization that would, if they didn't have something that I could sell, they'd let me create it.
Yeah.
Working in a nonprofit, I'd go out and create a program just so I could sell it. And so it really kind of started there, where, working in the nonprofit world, really I was an entrepreneur. I was just doing it from the comfort of an $800 a month salary.
I love that. So it's kind of sales kind of spurred you toward sort of this path along entrepreneurship, which you probably didn't realize it at the time,
Yeah.
but that was kind of called it. Very interesting. Well, I know one interesting thing about your resume, if you will, is that you have served in public service,
Mm.
like city council, at a fairly young age, I think. When did you
I was
first?
first elected to city council at 22
Okay, and where was this?
in McClary, Washington.
Okay. So tell me, I'm interested about that experience, very different or maybe not from being in business or being an entrepreneur. What did that experience teach you about leadership?
Well, first of all, very few things in city council could be considered interesting.
Okay.
I know all kinds of things about solid waste that no human being should actually know. If you need the boring topic, I got you.
Yeah.
In terms of what I've learned, I would tell you that if there's a wrong way to do something, I know it
Yeah.
because I did it.
Okay.
And I as a young man who was, I want to say, thrust into a leadership position, obviously I had to run for office and do the work to get elected. With that comes a little bit of swagger. Ended up being the deputy mayor of my small town at the
Nice.
age of 23, and
Wow.
I thought I was cool.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to say that I wasn't. I mean, I had a tie and suspenders that matched, and I'd wear them to city council, and I'd sit alongside of a colleague who's 40 years older than me, and, work boots that he'd actually worked in a Carhartt, looking down at me like, what do you know?
Yeah.
And at the time, I thought, well, I'm a leader.
Yeah.
That's what I know. And, from his perspective, quite frankly, his perspective was correct. Is I didn't know nothing. And so, it was a long and hard journey where, I would say it wasn't but a couple of years ago that I would even consider myself a leader. Um, and I would say that I've never really wanted to be a leader because leadership's work,
No doubt.
right? You think about leadership in any setting. The individual that's the leader has done the most work.
And it's a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It's for the most part thankless. It's John Maxwell says it's lonely.
No doubt.
He's right.
Absolutely.
When things go right, you give away the credit. When things go wrong,
You take it.
you take it.
Yeah.
And so for me, I've never sought leadership out. I guess I can't really say that because I ran for office, and it turns out that I've got a few things figured out. I'm starting to realize the things that I don't have figured out and segregate those two.
Yeah.
And have come to realize that, quite frankly, leadership is my calling, and entrepreneurship is the way that I accomplish that.
Beautiful. I love that. So at some point in your career, you start out sort of managing organizations, and then you made a pivot toward entrepreneurship. What was there a particular catalyst that moved you in that direction? What was it that got you thinking, okay, from the safety of an organization that's already established and I'm managing something that's known to something that's completely unknown
Yeah.
and unproven?
So, working in the nonprofit world. So started out working for chambers of commerce. Have spent some time working for trade associations, which are really just chambers of commerce for a specific industry. The leadership of those organizations tend to be the successful people either in the business community or in that specific industry. And I found myself in boardrooms with those individuals as they made decisions for the organization. I got a view of how successful people think and how they would do something. And they would bring the very attributes that made them successful in their business to the nonprofit that I was working for as we worked together to make the nonprofit successful. And I found myself essentially the fly on the wall in a lot of rooms where decisions that were big for the organization, in the grand scheme of things, they weren't that big of a deal, but and I got to learn how successful people think. And over the many years of doing that, eventually realized, actually, if I went and did some of the things that I've heard people do, and I took this idea that I heard from this individual and put it together with this idea from that individual, I might be able to accomplish some things. And within my career, my pivot, shall we say, into entrepreneurship, it really was, well, first of all, it was a God thing. There have been a number of times where I'm describing situations to colleagues in a secular setting, and they're dumbfounded that that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Those types of deals don't happen. I can remember talking to my business partner and telling him that as we got the paperwork on a deal, I'm like, we will never get a better deal ever. There a better deal than this does not exist. Sign it now. And he's like, well, yeah, but my name's right on here. I don't care. I don't want to give him another chance to think about this. Sign it. Let's go. And then a couple of years later, I was looking at our second deal, and I was like, this is a better deal than the last deal.
Yeah.
So, very much, the hand of God.
Yeah.
But, we had to be prepared. We had to be in the right position. And so, I can't think about my story without giving credit where credit is due. Is There's definitely a God element to that. But, at the same time, I don't think that, that God loves me more than other people that haven't had those same blessings. And so it's not purely the blessings of God. It's what I brought to him.
Sure. It's a marriage.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
cooperating
Yeah,
with his design, right?
God's got to do a miracle,
Yeah.
but I've got to get myself in a position
Absolutely.
for a miracle to be done.
That's exactly right.
So somewhat of a God thing. Really, I've always had the philosophy that I want to have a bigger impact than just what I can do.
Yeah.
And so early in my career, I was offered an opportunity to be a big brother for Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And at that same time, I was offered an opportunity. I was talking to folks, and on city council, and somebody said, "Well, you should join the board instead of being a big brother. If I'm a big brother, I can't be on the board as well." And the individual recruiting me for boards, and you've recruited for boards, I'm just going to say what it takes to get to a yes. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that he was just like, yeah, that worked. But his statement was, look, if you be a big brother, you can impact one boy. If you join the board, you can help make policy decisions that impact the 350 boys in the Big Brother program.
Yeah.
And I realized that while being the Big Brother is more rewarding, right? You get that warm and fuzzy feeling.
The bond.
And, yeah. In 10 years from now, you get to look back and, hey, he graduated from high school, and then all, and share in those successes. As a board member, not so much, right? I helped make the decision to lease the building.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeehaw. And so it is less rewarding on a personal level.
Yeah.
But the impact that I was able to have, helping to decide to lease the building gave us more capacity to serve more people, and all of those things. And so long ago, I realized that I want to extend my impact, even though that means I don't get to be out front. So you'll rarely find me behind a microphone, not because I'm not good at it. I've come to realize that I'm a pretty good public speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Again, mostly
Doing
because
great,
I'm
John.
terrible. I appreciate that, right? But I would say that the reason I'm good, if you share that assessment, it's because I'm terrible at it, and I don't mind.
No,
I say the wrong thing. If it turns out I had lettuce in my okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
What now?
Don't care.
Yeah. Does it hurt your feelings?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't hurt mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, but I've come to realize that there's 100 people ready to step up to the microphone, right? And that's particularly true in a church setting.
No doubt.
Is that if you were to say, hey, if the pastor stood up in any given church and said, I need somebody to teach the Bible study next Sunday, there's a long line of people jumping up to being like, hey, I'm ready for that. But if the pastor said, hey, I need some chairs moved for the Bible study tomorrow night, well, oftentimes I found myself the only person in that line.
I think we call that servant leadership, right?
Absolutely. Well, that's certainly one way to think about it, because in a lot of those situations, you're leading you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but quite frankly, the Bible study doesn't move forward if somebody doesn't lock the door, somebody doesn't turn the light on, turn the heat on, and well, in Texas we're going to turn the AC on. But, and so for me, I've kind of sought out the leadership position that people aren't willing to do.
Okay.
And it turns out all of that directly translates into an entrepreneurial situation that's successful.
Yeah, that's good. I love that. The mission mindedness kind of drove you to entrepreneurship because you can have a greater impact that way.
Yeah.
I love that.
Our company, we currently have probably about 120 employees, and whole bunch of those are single moms struggling their way through life.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even know what a mutual fund is.
Yeah.
Retirement.
Yeah.
Hopefully Social Security is still around, and so our company mission statement is we take care of people. Period.
Talking about Mercy House.
So Mercy House is an assisted living company in
Yep.
Central Texas. And to the outsider and to our customer base, they're thinking that means we take care of our residents, which that's true. That's what we do. We take care of people. But that's not my job. I don't take care of the residents.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time that I did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
I've got some scars from that. You know, you do too, right?
Yep,
They're on
yep,
your
yep.
season 1 of your podcast,
Absolutely.
right? So I've got those scars of taking care of the customer as well. But my job has become, as the leader, is to take care of the people that take care of people.
Yeah, I love that.
And so that means that, and I tell them that all the time. My job is to make sure you've got the tools that you need.
Yeah.
And so, for us, an untouchable expense. It doesn't matter how bad, the month has been. We cannot go cheap on latex gloves. The places I'm asking those ladies to stick their hand in liquids that none of us know what are, you need to have good latex gloves.
Yep.
And so my job as a leader, I take care of people by making sure that you've got full stock of gloves in the pantry, where in the storeroom.
Yep.
Don't keep those in the pantry, but in the storeroom, and that they're your size.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, that you're not allergic to them, like latex, allergies and all of that. And so my job is to take care of people. And it turns out, that's not just a platitude where, hey, it looks good on the mission statement. It does, but they can't take care of the customer. They can't take care of my resident
if they're not
taken care of. And Simon Sinek has a whole bit of work on making people feel safe. And I've got to give you an environment that you feel safe to do your job. And so while the company mantra is that we take care of people, everybody in my company, that just means something different too. And so to my caregiver, that means taking care of my residents. To my managers, that means taking care of the people, and my job is to take care of them. And so I love that
perspective. Let me back up just a minute before we get back to Mercy House. I know at one point you raised some angel funds to start a startup medical records company.
Yeah.
And so tell me, I guess, was that sort of your first foray into sort of entrepreneurship?
Oh, Phillip.
Okay. Let me ask you, what surprised you most in starting a company?
How hard it really is.
Okay.
So let me one better. My first foray, I don't think I've ever said this publicly.
Oh, good. We got an exclusive here on the Call and the Climb.
My very first start my own business entrepreneurial effort I was a worm farmer.
Oh my word. Are you serious?
And when I say worm farmer, I mean
it's not a euphemism.
Yeah, I mean what you think I mean. And so I have shoveled more cow manure than any dairy farmer you'll ever meet, because that's what worms eat.
Oh my word.
And again, I crashed and burned as a worm farmer. I can't even farm worms, for crying out loud, right?
You said how hard it is. What makes it hard? And we're talking to other entrepreneurs, people maybe at different levels. Some people just starting out, maybe watching this. Somebody that's in the fighting stage where they're just trying to fight to survive. What makes it so hard?
So you've covered this a couple of times in season 1 from a couple of different directions. You as the founder, as the entrepreneur, you're the only one in the company that can't say no. Client calls up, in your case calls up and says, "Hey, I know it's Christmas Eve, but I need this data and it's gone." Well, your tech can say, "It's Christmas Eve. Sorry, I'm out of town." You as the owner, the guy that just said no, you got to cover his paycheck.
That's exactly right.
And the only way to cover his paycheck is you don't get to say no.
That's right.
And so I think one of the things that makes it so hard is that you don't get to say no. Whatever comes at you, it doesn't matter whether it's an unforced error, and I got plenty of those. Whether it's from the outside, it has nothing to do with you. It's the market forces in general, whether it's the contract, the master contract that you had just died. You're the only one that doesn't get to say no, and everybody's looking to you.
Yep. How do you mitigate that? How you obviously you may have spazzed out on the worm farm, but you've become successful. So you found the solution to that the difficulty,
Yeah.
the always being on call.
Yeah.
How do you manage that and to mitigate that risk of completely torpedoing your effort?
So I think everybody has their own way. For me, my faith in God is a big part of it.
Yeah,
I go back to, I think it was episode 2, where you're,
yeah,
in the server room, and I have, actually, I've been laying on my living room floor, curled up in a ball, with blood in my hands from clenching my nails, digging into me, clenching my nails so tight, angry with God
yeah.
that He wouldn't let me die.
Oh my word.
Just let me out of this.
Yeah,
Let me out of this. As an entrepreneur, you'll have those moments,
yep.
and I would say take those moments.
Because you're going to look back
Cry it
on
out.
those someday, and they're going to be
Yes,
scars that you're
yes,
proud of, right?
yes. Well, I mean, honestly, I still have a scar right here from giving plasma.
Oh man,
Some of my
man,
entrepreneurial
oh
efforts.
man.
I mean, I have driven Uber while I was driving Lyft, while I was delivering for Amazon. That was pre-Instacart and all of those days, or I would have been doing that too. And I'm giving plasma,
Wow,
because you do what it takes
you
to get
do
through.
what it takes.
And so you get up off of the floor. I
Mhm,
had my cry. It was in the middle of the night. Didn't want
mhm.
my wife to see, because oh, by the way, she's got to have the confidence that the bills are getting paid.
Sure.
And so, as the leader of my home,
Mhm.
I can't let her see that.
Yeah,
And so when it's over, you wipe the tears. In that case, you wipe the blood, make up a dumb story about why it's there, and you go back to work.
I love that. Keep doing what you know to do.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah.
at it.
Well, and I think it was Paul said, and we miss it. And if I remember right, it's in when he's talking about the armor of God. He gets to the end of all of these tools that God gives you. He says, having done all to stand, when you've done everything that you
That's so good.
possibly can, stand.
Just stand there.
Just stand.
I love
Just
it.
stand. And
Powerful.
so, and as an entrepreneur, I mean, I don't care if, obviously, this all comes from my faith and my relationship with God, but as a non, you can be agnostic, you can be an atheist, you still got to stand. You still
Absolutely.
just got to
That's
weather
good.
it.
Good stuff. All right. So you got past those early days and you got past the tough patches and you persevered and you went on and you became very successful. And then you started Mercy House, or you acquired Mercy House and began to scale that. So now you're in a new phase. And so you're now scaling up, I think, over 100 employees or whatnot. So think about those early days and what it took, maybe just the gumption we say in Tennessee, just to stand or whatnot, to now you're leading an organization of over 100 employees and you're scaling very quickly. What changed as far as in your leadership? What is required to do
Yeah.
that from a leader's perspective?
So, I will say, first of all, it is to scale. I think that's an operative word, is we can't grow unless we can scale.
Yep.
A lot of that is letting go. So, a lot of the decisions that I used to make, I don't have the luxury of making any. I don't have the time, to go look for a sale on latex gloves, right?
Right,
It's
right.
I gotta let it ride, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes I end up, my people end up buying latex gloves not on sale, and when I see it, I'm like, hey, how much this cost? You know how many? By the way, you know how many we go through,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I've had to let some things go and develop systems. In
Ah,
my job from day to day, first of all, it was a huge epiphany to realize that my job today is not to take care of the residents. Now, when I go through the building and I see somebody needs something, I'm going to jump in and help, and I'm going to help where I can, but that's not my primary job.
mhm.
And so again, back to the similar to the story with the Big Brothers Big Sisters, is it's not as rewarding, because I don't get to see the difference I make in their lives,
Mhm.
but my job is to take care of the people. And so sometimes it feels like, I'm tuckered out at the end of the day of sitting in front of my desk for the last 9
Yeah.
hours.
Mhm.
And perseverance is a big thing. I saw a meme once that said, I was offered a job, and they said they were going to work me hard and I was going to have to work 50 hours a week. And I thought, oh, I didn't know this was a part-time job. Right. That's the other part about making it hard as an entrepreneur, is there is no off hours.
That's right.
And when the call comes, the call comes.
Yeah.
And so, I've had to let go of a lot of things. I've had to let things that are that, I believe are important, but now, I'm getting to invest in people
Yeah.
and I'm getting to build them up. The other piece to it though is that now I only deal with really hard problems. And I was thinking about this a while ago. Is like, how come is it that this, as the business has grown, the problems have gotten more difficult? And I realized that uh, it's not that all of our problems are difficult. It's that the level 1, 2, and 3 problems were handled by the level 1, 2, and 3 people.
And you used to be doing all of them.
And I used to doing all of them.
Yeah.
And now it only hits my desk when it's really bad.
Yeah.
When that phone call's got to be made, and it's like all I can do is just gut it out and do it. And so that was an epiphany for me to realize that's actually a compliment for me to only have to deal with the hard ones
Yeah.
because we got a great team.
So let me ask you this. What's harder, starting up or scaling?
Starting up because I don't have any
I'd
money.
agree with that.
Yeah, I don't have any money. It's like right now
You don't even know if you're going to survive.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So
Scaling, at least I can stay here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so for us, it's like, when you have a bad month, like, we had a terrible January. I lost 20% of my customers in January. And there was a time where something like that meant I'm not making payroll. Now it's like, well, we need to throw some more money at Google.
Yeah.
We need to throw some more money at search engine optimization. We need to, invest some more in. And so I've got the tools to handle problems.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I should say I have the resources to handle problems. Whereas before it was just like, I don't know what we're gonna do. Well, I'll tell you what I did is I went and gave plasma. I went drove.
So you mentioned something. You lost 20% of your customers. Now, when you say you lost, it's not like they went somewhere else. They passed away.
They passed away.
So I'm curious. That's a very emotionally demanding job, particularly for your frontline workers.
Yeah.
So how do you, as CEO, build a culture around that emotionally charged work?
Yeah.
I've got to think that's a big challenge.
So it's even more so in our environment because we're a boutique assisted living.
Okay.
I'll never have more than 16 people in a building. We develop a relationship not just with the resident but with their family. We know them by name, they know us by name. And so when somebody passes, in a lot of cases, that's like my grandma.
Yeah.
Like I came around the corner once in one of my buildings and had a staff member leaning over a resident who was non-communicative, had advanced stages of Alzheimer's, and had never called my staff by name, had never had any sort of meaningful interaction. And my caregiver, I caught her giving her a hug, saying, "I love you."
Wow.
When that lady passed, it's terrible. But being a steady hand and a steady voice in really trying times, for us, we usually have the benefit of seeing it coming. And most of my residents have a medical power of attorney or do not resuscitate, and the papers in place where the family's ready. But being in a position to just that calm, steady hand, I've sat with people and cried with them, and been that voice in their life that and I say that voice a lot of the time. That voice is saying nothing. I'm just sitting here with you.
Yeah.
I can't pretend to know what you're going through. But tell me about Dad. Tell me about your best memory with Dad. So being able to be that outside individual who's objective, because I'm bawling my eyes out, and helping them through that process. But we also, are very cognizant of where our staff is, where our team is. If you've been close with a particular resident, we'll give you the time off to go and mourn. Invite them to the, when family will let us, we'll go to the celebration of life. But we'll bring in an extra staff member.
Okay.
This person's going to take care of your job duties, so you can just sit with the families.
Okay.
That helps the families.
Sure.
It helps my staff.
Yeah.
And so
I can't imagine that environment, how challenging it is, but as you've just talked about, how rewarding it is because it's more than just a business.
Yeah.
In essence, it's a ministry.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So how do you balance between your purpose, which we could say ministry, and profitability? Is there a conflict there?
So I have found that doing the right thing will lead to profitability.
Okay. Elaborate.
And so there are times where I mean, on a regular decision. So, the industry standard is we don't give refunds. When you rent an assisted living space, you rent it by the month.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll have, and the reason for that is that we schedule out for the month, we buy groceries and supplies for the month. And so if somebody passes away, I can't send people home. I can't send staff home. Their schedule's written.
Yeah.
I can't return groceries. They're just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And I also can't turn the room and rent it to somebody else and so the reasoning is that when the reason we don't refund is because we don't have that money. We already spent it. We spent it for the care. And the fact that we're not delivering the care doesn't change the cost structure.
Mm-hmm.
But we also recognize that, sometimes the family doesn't have the resources for a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
If we find out a family is struggling, we're going to step up and be like, we'll cover that.
Interesting.
We'll step for that. Yeah. And that happens at every level. We had a staff member whose daughter unexpectedly died, and the daughter also worked for us, and their resources were constrained and were in a pinch and didn't have a way to pay for the funeral. I would often suggest that the best thing I can do is run a profitable company, because then we can be like, don't worry about it. Go think about other things. We'll take care of this.
So the profitability enables the charitable side to shine through.
In an industry where there is extremely high turnover, our turnover is low.
Yeah.
Because of things like that.
And that leads to greater profit.
Yeah. And you go look at my Google reviews and whatnot, and because we're always looking to do the right thing, and not just doing the right thing, we're looking for the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter what the contract says. It doesn't matter what the agreement says. We're going to do the right thing.
That's good.
And there are situations where, and now again, we're a business. And so I will tell people that I want to be fair. I have to be fair to the business.
True.
As well as you.
Yeah.
And so let's have a conversation about what's the best way to do that. And that oftentimes just comes down to, communication.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, I know, and you've covered it on your podcast. Sometimes you got a bill that you don't got the money for.
Yep.
I'm going to call you up and tell you, you know what? I got your bill. I want you to know I got your bill. I want you to know that I know I got your bill, but I don't got the money.
Yeah.
I want you to know I got the money. I'm thinking about it. It doesn't bother me quite as much as it bothers you that I'm not paying you, but it does bother me. I'll get you paid as soon as I can.
Yeah.
And so
I'm out here.
Yeah, exactly. I see you. And so having, just being clear about that communication at every level. Early on in our company, we as a group of leaders, we read Radical Candor. And Radical Candor says that we don't help anybody by not just laying it out there. The hard truths, they're hard.
Yeah.
But it's easier than ignoring them.
Very true.
And so we've always done that with vendors. We've done that with employees. And I'm proud to say that we've never missed a payroll.
That's awesome.
There have been times where the owners didn't get paid.
Yeah. Oh, I've been there. There
have been long stretches where the owners didn't get paid.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so
not unusual.
Yeah. And so I have found that doing the right thing is it's not, it's a feel good payday. It's a payday.
Yeah.
It's an investment.
Yeah.
It'll come back. It'll pay for itself.
I cannot believe our time is already over. This has been very, very interesting. I want to ask you one last question. So you started at a very early age, sort of on this quest of leadership and business. If you were to sit down with a young 30-something-year-old right now that's trying to forge a career, either in entrepreneurship or some sort of leadership position, what's your best advice for them right now?
Close your mouth. Open your ears. Just listen.
Okay.
Just sit in the back of the room and listen.
Okay.
And I know that my story isn't super relevant to your world. The joke back in my day was, my dad couldn't reprogram the time on his VCR. And so VCRs all across America had the clock blinking 000. And I knew how to do it. I'm not going to do it because that's your VCR. Yeah. And so, those are things about my generation. Like if I call you on my cell phone and you accept the picture, the iPhones, it'll put the contact picture. It's the most unflattering picture of me that you'll ever see. Because my daughter realized that if she puts that on there, I don't know how to change it. And so now I'm making business calls, I'm calling high government officials, and there's a very unflattering picture of me pops up on their phone because she knows. And so to that 30-year-old, it's really easy to discount me and my wisdom because I can't figure out how to, because my stories aren't relevant, and it's the third time I've told you that story. You will never, ever, ever hear me say, you already told me that. You will never hear me say, I already know that. Which means I hear a lot of things multiple times. Like within my company and on my team, this person comes and tells me what happens, and then this person wants to come tell me what happens in this. But I'm always getting just a little bit of more information, a little bit of a different perspective on the information. They're going to tell me something that I didn't know. So you will never hear me say, I already knew that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I want to hear as much as I can. I will tell you that video games and short form video are rotting your brain. You need to be watching, this podcast every episode the minute it comes out. You need to go find some other ones that build you up. You should have, your favorite preaching podcast that you listen to. And so all the different verticals of your life. And, you need balance. And if, gaming is your thing, okay, find somebody that you can follow, but have that be one of the 7. And so, if your pastor does one, go and watch it.
Yeah.
Taking in the information and apply it in your situation. And so, the biggest thing I could say to younger me, because I often find myself, let me just sit in the back of the room and listen.
That's very good. Well, I, for one, think you are still very relevant. And I think what you've shared today is going to be relevant to our audience. Excellent. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate you being here.
But before we go, 2026, The Calling and the Climb was my #1 podcast on Spotify. So,
there you go. I love it. Thanks, John. Thanks for being here.